Good afternoon, those who have joined us so far. We've got a few more to come, I think. We've got quite a swag of people joining us today, so we'll just give everyone a couple more minutes after our timely start.
Everyone's starting to pour in now. You know, it's a pretty good sign when you need to upgrade to the next level of webinar capacity. So that's a pretty good sign. Happy days. So we'll give it another minute or so, Adam, before we kick things off. Wait for a few other people to roll in, grab their sandwiches, settle in for a bit of a yarn. I hope everybody's recovered after what was a pretty massive week last week.
Especially from the cold, anyway.
Yes, the cold. That's what did it.
While we're waiting, maybe we should talk about the Q&A button.
Yes, absolutely. So those that have joined us at the moment, we've got two buttons down the bottom of your screen. And they're the ones that we're going to be using for yourselves to have a little bit of a chat. There's the Q&A button down the bottom. Click on that one if you wanted to ask any questions. During the session, I will be answering the questions via messages for those simple, quick, easy ones. And anything else, the guys will actually get to you live. So if we haven't answered something initially, please don't be concerned. We will get to you in due course and go from there. Even if it's at the end of the session, we'll still get across. And you can also see that there's a chat button just beside that too. So you can then chat amongst yourselves. Or also any of the panelists if you need to ask any other questions as well. So we might get moving now. So thanks for joining us, everyone, today as we take you through a journey in the cloud on a beautiful sunny day. Sorry for that, but I just had to throw it in there. My name's Adam Young, and I'm going to be answering the questions during the session as previously discussed. So as I say, just jump onto that Q&A button and hit it, and we can go from there. Following on from the feature-packed Xerocon, we have this opportunity to meet you all and actually talk face-to-face. We're now proud to introduce you to some of you to many of the cloud integration through our new partner program, aptly named Cloud Integration.Partners. What will be discussed today is just what Cloud Integrators are, and then how you can leverage the Cloud Integration Partners partnership. So introducing our two hosts today, we've got Clinton Cowin. Clinton's the Managing Director of TradiePad. Clinton started TradiePad after integrating his plumbing business into the cloud 6 years ago. And Jeffrey Atizado. Jeffrey is the Joint Managing Director of SMB Consultants. Jeffrey was successfully ran an Apple reseller business with Peter Klein, and they both saw the need for a tech-savvy integrator over 7 years ago. So not to hold up the proceedings any further, welcome to the CloudCast, both Clinton and Jeffrey.
Thanks, Adam.
Thank you, Adam.
So we're excited to have this opportunity to give an introduction to our new partner program, and we thought it was relevant to talk a little bit about our background and the journey that we've been on, because a lot of the people that we met at Xerocon, large percentage hadn't worked with Cloud Integrators or didn't even know what they were. So our journey started in 2011, back when we used to run an Apple premium reseller, and we were really specialists in hardware at the time. Setting up Mac computers and working on point-of-sale systems that actually worked on a Mac system. In 2012, when the cloud became more accessible, we started to evolve, and we became part of the consultants network, and we started to specialize in iOS and cloud networking. In 2013 is when our journey with Xero started, when they introduced the integration between Vend, point-of-sale, and Xero. And we started to see and realize the benefits of what integration could do for a small business when you could link an inventory management system together with the accounting package. That's also when we first met TradiePad, and we realized that they had done a very similar thing with trades, and that's where our journey started together. And also the first time that we exhibited at Xerocon. At that time, we were sort of unknown. The term Cloud Integrator didn't even exist. And in 2014, we started to specialize in verticals. So TradiePad was specializing in trades and construction, and we were specializing in retail and hospitality. And we started to curate this list of add-ons that were needed to run a specific vertical business but leveraging the benefits of integration. So we started to find apps that worked across that connected to inventory management systems like online, rostering systems, loyalty, scheduling, and presented those as vertical stacks. In 2015, the ecosystem started to grow. I think they were up to about 300 apps at this point, and we became actually a Xero Gold partner, which created a bit of channel conflict for Xero, because they really didn't want us to be Gold partners, because that they knew that we would be seen as competition, and we were far from that. Xero realized that they needed us as part of the Xero community to complement or to partner with bookkeepers and accountants. So in 2015 is when we actually earned the distinction of preferred integrator, and so that we could really start to show bookkeepers and accountants how Cloud Integrators could complement their business. In 2016, the Mobile Partner Program, or MPP program, Mobility Partner Program through Apple, was born, and we are the two only systems integrators in the world. So we took this model that we sort of developed in the story that we had been working alongside with Apple, and Apple developed an international program to focus and to highlight a lot of the apps that were best in class for specific verticals. At the same time, because the apps marketplace was growing, it was growing to it forced the hand of Xero to develop the Xero marketplace, so that people could explore and find the options that were available out in the marketplace. In 2017, now there's over 600 plus add-ons in the add-on marketplace, and it's really created a problem for Xero in that marketplaces can show people what solutions are available out there, but they don't solve the problem of which add-on is right for my client. Additionally, Xero HQ has launched Explore, which gives you guys the ability to search through your database of clients to find out which verticals they're specific in, so that you can see which add-ons or which apps that they're using within their business.
And that it leads into discussions a little bit more about the marketplace. Jeff mentioned the Xero add-on marketplace that was launched in 2016, which was a great way for partners, Xero partners, and Xero users to go and explore solutions that were out there. So apps for specific industries and specific verticals, and all of the major accounting software partners have their own marketplace, as well as we're starting to see a few third-party marketplaces appear, like Nine Spokes and Mastrano, which are acting as a bit more of a hub, I suppose, for connecting all of your various subscriptions together to allow you to have one central place to manage those subscriptions. So good for exploration, good for research, handy for billing, but it's not solving the key problem, which is how do we choose a particular solution over the others? You know, there's still, you look at, I'm from TradiePad, I'm in the trades and services space. We look at the construction industry, there's 35, 36 different add-ons that are in there that you can choose from just for job and project management. So it's good for research purposes, but if anything, it's maybe even aggravating the problem, which is making the decision and solving what we refer to as a bit of a puzzle for the client, because a lot of times we're looking at bolting one or two or three things together. So we've got to get these puzzle pieces and work out how they fit together, so that we're not making the wrong decisions, I suppose.
So that really brings us to the three things that we're trying to solve when it's related to this add-on puzzle that's been created in the marketplace. The first is, who will help them decide if it's right for their business? I mean, Xero really sort of pushed at the last Xerocon that, you know, accountants and bookkeepers should be moving towards playing more of the advisory role. And certainly as your clients become more mature and more comfortable with Xero, they're going to start to explore the options that are available out there. And so it becomes, you're in a position now where you can offer or they're expecting you to provide some sort of guidance or advice. And it can be quite difficult to navigate through all the choice that's out there. Then the second thing is who will implement and introduce change management, because aside from just looking at the features that are available, there are other factors that will decide whether or not that solution is going to be a good fit or really add value to the business. I mean, it could be something as simple as, the client is under-resourced and needs help being able to implement and train the staff to use it in the right way. So, who's going to take on that role in terms of implementing the change management? And then lastly, who will support them? So, making a recommendation for a particular app that's out there comes with a bit of accountability in terms of if you recommend it and something goes wrong or it's not working in the right way, who's going to support them? And more importantly, if they have a number of apps in their business, who's going to support their business with all the apps that they use within that business?
So tying in with some of the fun and games that was at Xerocon, last week, we thought this was rather appropriate with the situation of adding the wrong piece of the puzzle or pulling the wrong piece of the puzzle out can have pretty dire consequences. And by the way, no children were harmed in the making of this little GIF here, but certainly we want to avoid the whole thing coming crashing down. 100%.
So one thing that we've seen now is because particularly in Australia, where we've seen clients go through this early cloud adoption phase, where people are taking that first move to move the cloud. They're asking the questions initially of, where's my data stored? Is it secure? What happens if the internet goes down? I think we're well and truly past that stage. And what we see mostly is people in this stage of what we call Franken apps. And these are people that are somewhere in the middle. Maybe they're holding on to some legacy or some server-based equipment, could be a point of sale. Maybe they're just using spreadsheets within the business or part of the business. And they've made some move to the cloud and they've had a good experience. And they're now stuck between those two sections. Or another one that we commonly see is they've actually done the research and their due diligence in finding all the right cloud apps. They could be using Vend for point of sale and Xero and Shopify, but they haven't taken the time to set them up correctly. And so therefore they've just inherited their old workflows using the new software. And because they're very busy and time poor, they lack the experience and the knowledge of how to set it up correctly. They're really just replicating what they had in their old system, and they're not really seeing any improvement. So this is a very common type of client that we see today, and maybe someone that you've related to. Maybe you can think of someone, a business that is sort of stuck, and they've gone out and they've tried to find and source and set up these products independently, and they know they've got the right things, but they're still not getting enough value out of them. So this slide was, I always bring this slide up in conversations because I think it helps visualize the current state of play in terms of the ecosystems and how complex they are for a particular business. This is a slide I used back in Xerocon, I think 2 years ago, the last time I was in Melbourne, and it was for the Developers Day, to give a sort of visual representation of what a business that was both retail and wholesale would look like, and some of the add-ons that are available and how they all are integrated with one another. So firstly, a retail business that is bricks and mortar could be using Vend as a point of sale system, and that could be linked to Xero. And that was the very first sort of integration that we explored and how we became partners of Xero. A retail business would also connect together their payment gateway. They may have staff that they use for rostering, an online store to sell B2C, and they may even have a loyalty program to connect to their customers, and maybe a scheduling component like a beauty salon or maybe a business that does workshops or webinar workshops or classes. The green circle really represents the retail ecosystem. So that would be the sort of stack of apps that Cloud Integration Partners would be recommending and setting up to their clients, because it really represents all of the front-end operations of the business. the bottom ecosystem here is what I consider the bookkeeping or the accounting ecosystem. And the apps that you see there below, your receipt scanning, your benchmark reporting, and client and job management, these are apps that you would most likely find a practice either using themselves or recommending to their clients to use as well. And so that's one thing that we really advocate is, our partners should be researching their stack of apps that they use and recommend to their clients so that they can leverage the benefits of how they interact with Xero and provide advice to their clients. And it's really the overlap of those two ecosystems that represents the partnership between Cloud Integration Partners and the bookkeeper and accountant. And the sum of those two services that really deliver the best outcome to a client. We're really not overlapping with anything that you do. We don't provide any advisory work. We don't provide any compliance work. And we're really looking for partners that can provide those additional services like benchmarking and automated receipt scanning so that the client is getting the benefits of Xero integration from both ends of the spectrum. Adding on to that, you might have client engagement. This is a really interesting ecosystem. So marketing, it ties in with social media, EDM marketing, mobile payments, traffic analytics. And then you also have a suite of apps that revolve around inventory management. So wholesale, manufacturing, all of those type of inventory, warehousing, and omnichannel all fall into this last category. And if you have a business that does both retail and inventory management or wholesale, you need different apps to manage those two ecosystems. When you have a centralized warehouse, you may have other things like 3PL, EDI integration, shipping fulfillment, and marketplaces. And all of those need to tie in together, and the workflow of information that gets shared and passed between each program needs to really be thought out correctly. And that's where a lot of our expertise lies. I see a lot of people going out and trying to find the right app. They're trying to find that one magical app that will do everything for a client. And the reality is that there's really no business today that runs off of one app. And so we really have to have a conversation about how all these apps work together and all the different things that a business would need to run their business effectively and have them connected properly and being used in the right way.
I think I'll just jump in there, Jeff. I think another really important thing to highlight is the what we call the platform, the business technology platform. So, like you said, there's no one magical app that can do everything, and there needs to be a bit of thought and a bit of strategy go into what is the platform going to look like for my business. So, with trades and services, we get into talking about devices. What devices are the guys in the field and the guys in the office going to use? We talk about phones versus tablets, iOS versus Android, BYOD devices versus company-owned devices. We get into talking about mobile device management, because if we are going to go down the path of company providing devices to the staff in the field, then do we have a management tool that we can have that can control it remotely and can add apps and can wipe them if they get lost? So there's a whole discussion about making sure that that hardware component is right. And I'm guessing, Jeff, you do the same thing with your point of sale hardware, your tills, your registers, your printers, your barcode scanners, all that kind of thing. So a lot of times we're getting into discussions about these things that people had not even considered when they had thought, I'm going to move to some technology in my business. So that initial discussion about, okay, what is the platform going to look like, becomes a really key strategic discussion to make sure that we've got the right infrastructure in place to support the business moving forwards. Because we find once tools like this are in place, once we've got these efficiencies coming into the business, we've got the ability to take on more work and grow, we need the right platform in place or the right foundation in place, to coin a tradie term. We need the right foundation in place to build the business upon. So a little bit of a rant there. Sorry, Jeff. So we now get into talking about Franken app. So we've got a client that has the need or the desire to look at some technology, and they might have some existing apps that are in place but they're not set up the right way. What can we do? How can we help them? So as they're financial partner as their bookkeeper, their accountant, their advisor. What are the options? I had a little bit of a fumble in my panel session on uni day last week. I spoke about the 3 R's, which is what we're going to go through now. And unfortunately, I could only come up with 2 of them, which was a bit of a fail. But that's all right. I've got some notes prompting me. So option 1, and I know Jeff's already touched on this earlier, but option 1 is research and recommend, where as the advisor, you can spend some time having a look at the app marketplaces, having a look at some of the social media platforms that are out there with some advice coming from various people. You can research the apps yourself, go and talk to the software companies. The software companies will tell you their apps can do absolutely everything that you need and make you a piece of toast in the morning. And if you're lucky, maybe even a coffee. And basically go out there and do the legwork yourself. And then once you've done that investigation and that research, make a recommendation to the business. Say, okay, well, here's the things that I've looked at. I think this one's looking pretty good because of this, and this. So go down the path and maybe set up a trial for them and get them in there and get them using it. So that's that research and recommend. And option number 2 is a little bit more of an investment from your side. So reskill and or add resources. So it kind of takes option 1 to another level where you're not only researching and recommending, but you're actually getting to a point of being able to implement the solution. So spending the time to become an implementation partner with a software company, maybe doing a training course with them or a certification, getting to the point of being able to put the solution into the business, or adding staff members into your practice or into your operation that can do that work themselves. So it's kind of taking a little bit of a different approach, a bit of multi-skilling or a bit of additional options within the business, and takes you away from, I guess, what is maybe the core of what you do and what you've always done. But potentially it's a good way of adding, of diversifying and adding in some other services. But it bears its own risks, I suppose. I said in the panel session I spoke at on Tuesday, big part of implementation, or a big part of being a cloud integrator, is knowing what the software products don't do, rather than knowing what they can do. Because the only way to find out whether or not a piece of software can do something in particular is to set it up and implement it, and a lot of times find out the hard way. So we've done that as TradiePad. We've done that a number of times in the early days. We learned the hard way. We've implemented a piece of software expecting or assuming, which is always a bit of a risk, assuming that the software can do a particular thing, have a particular feature, and when it gets down to it, it doesn't, or it doesn't suit a particular type of workflow, which is a critical piece to the way the business is going to operate. So you learn these things the hard way, and it takes time, and it's unfortunately sometimes you get egg on your face, but it's all part of the learning process, I suppose. So if you are going to go down this reskill and or add resources path, just be prepared to put a bit of time into it. We've seen a number of accounting firms, accounting practices go down this path, and after 12 months, 18 months, end up pulling back because either not quite the right fit for the way that they're heading with their business, maybe not getting the right outcomes with the clients, or maybe not profitable enough. And that's probably a big one, that last one. We do this full time. We've got staff dedicated to it, broken into different areas within the business. We've got sales teams, we've got implementation and training teams, and we've got support teams. So there's a whole infrastructure behind our businesses that support what we do, and we're focused on it wholly and solely. So that brings us to option number 3, which is relationship, which was unfortunately the one that I forgot in the panel session. Probably the most important of the lot. So the relationship is really where we're focusing. We're all about building a relationship with our bookkeeping and accounting partners, because as Jeff said, we don't do what you guys do. We don't want to do what you guys do. We want to work as a team. We're all about providing a consolidated approach and a team approach for the customer, so that the customer is getting focused attention from the specialist partners within their business, their network of trusted advisors that focus and specialize on what they do. Because as a team, I'm not very good at maths. I think 1 and 1 is greater than 2. 1 and 1 is 3 or 4 or 5. But it provides a much more comprehensive and consistent and consolidated approach when we can work in a relationship and provide the customer with specific skills and specific focus. So decisions are up to you guys, but the relationship is the approach that we're really keen to push and to take. Because after the panel session on Tuesday and Uni Day, we're having a bit of a chat up the back of the room, and one of our fantastic bookkeeping partners came up and just reinforced what we'd spoken about, or what I'd spoken about, in that it's a team approach. And she said to me, you helped out one of my landscaping clients a couple of years ago, and it's been fantastic. They put the solution in place that you recommended. It's made their business, given their business so much more data and analytics, and allowed them to grow and have control that they never had before. And she said to me, I'm tech savvy, I'm techie, I'm a bit of a nerd myself, and I love this stuff, but I don't have the time for it. And I don't want to be training tradies how to use an iPad and how to use a phone and take those support calls. She said, I'd much rather be able to take the data that's coming out of the systems that you've set up and put that into some meaningful reports and dashboards for them, so that they can then use that to make decisions in their business and grow the business and leverage the tools that we've put in place. So we end up with this three-way relationship with the client, where the client's getting tools that is allowing them to grow and grow easily and grow quickly.
Yeah, just a couple comments on that. One, I think a lot of bookkeepers and accountants have already gone down the path of researching and recommending. You see a lot of commentary on Facebook groups saying, I've got a client, they're looking for this type of app, and they're trying to recommend apps. But there's a little bit of apprehension that comes along with recommending apps that you don't have much experience with. And certainly people can reskill and upskill their resources. And we encourage people to do that if they want. Maybe they might pick a couple apps that they want to specialize in, like, there could be Workflow Max or Vend, but they still can't be sort of everything to everyone. And so that's where I think, we come into play. It's the one-to-many approach, that if you build a relationship with a cloud integration partner, you have access to multiple apps that they have experience and access to, because they're recommending these apps based on their experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a really good comment here from Deb Mirish, who is, congratulations again, Deb, on Bookkeeper of the Year. Very proud to be working with you. And Deb's mentioned in a chat here, one and two, so options 1 and 2, are just not feasible for most of us that are busy. They take time and resources and are risky. Precisely why we have been using TradiePad in the past, just too easy. We focus on what we do best, and they do what they do best. And another little thing that Deb's added in here, I take recommendations on social media groups like grains of salt. People are too quick to throw out an app name into the mix, and that just confuses them for everyone. And I 100% agree. I see it all the time, that there are incorrect recommendations being thrown out there, and it's a difficult thing to be involved in. I need to.
I think that I share the same sentiment, which is why I'm actually reluctant to actually comment in those, because I'm reluctant to actually give a recommendation with such little information. Yeah. Which is why I don't make much comment. And I usually like to take that conversation to the side, so that we can sort of approach it in a more thorough way, rather than just sort of commenting arbitrarily.
Yeah, 100%. Like we both of our businesses, we would not make a recommendation without doing an assessment of a business. We just don't do it. So it goes the same. You can't possibly ask a one-sentence question on on social media and expect to get a reliable answer. So I think maybe there's an opportunity there for us to work out how we make those groups a little bit better, Jeff.
Absolutely. So moving on to Xero HQ, I think this is one tool that Xero is very proud of, and you know, we think there's an amazing way for you guys as advisors to leverage this, because it gives you insight into the way that your customers are actually using Xero. And if you haven't had a chance to already, we encourage you to go into your Xero account and to look at the Explore section to see, you know, which apps are your clients using, which ones are connected and which ones aren't, and to go through the industry section and make sure that you're categorizing each client that you have in your file in the right industry. Because what that's going to do is it's going to provide Xero with more information, and it's going to put you in this role of being able to decide which industries you may want to focus in. For example, I know that Jamie Johns from Sky Accounting, who's won numerous accolades, takes a very specialized approach and focuses on one vertical. He specializes in hospitality. And we've worked very closely over the years to really develop our pitch and our value proposition and the way that we approach clients together as a team. And you could do the same. I mean, you may not know which verticals they're all in until you actually go into Xero HQ and see the opportunities in which perhaps there's a hospitality client or maybe a trades or construction client, and you see that they are actually not connected to any add-ons, and their business could benefit by doing that. And so that would be a great starting point for you guys as advisors to try to understand where's a good starting point in terms of where to recommend apps or maybe which vertical to start with.
And that's really a big reason why Cloud Integration Partner was started. Jeff and I, or the SMB Consultants team and the TradiePad team, we'd been working as parallel businesses for years, 5 or 6 years. And we thought, well, let's make it easier. We were talking to the same partners all the time, the same bookkeepers and the same accountants. And it was a bit confusing for our partners to know, well, who do I take this particular client to? It's a trade client or a construction client or a hospitality client or a retail client. So they had to remember which partner, which cloud integrator to refer their clients to or to discuss the client with. So we thought, well, let's make it easy. Let's make it easier for our bookkeeping and accounting partners to talk to us and engage with us. So we created Cloud Integration Partners as a collaboration between our two businesses, so that there's one central referral point that covers the 5 different verticals, and those 5 verticals cover 60% of all Xero users. So when you look at Xero HQ and you see the particular industries or the particular verticals that your customers are in, all you need to do is talk to Cloud Integration Partners. We have one central reference point where you can contact us and ask questions about a particular type of client, and the appropriate partner will make contact with you and discuss it further. So Cloud Integration Partners, just to reiterate, is a collaboration between our two businesses. We are still completely independent companies. There's been no merger. There's been no consolidation of the two businesses. We're still completely independent, but Cloud Integration Partners is a partner program to make it easy for you to have discussions with partners that work specifically for the vertical that your clients are in.
I think the other reason why we did it is because even though Clinton and I always had very clear delineation as to the verticals we were and which ones we weren't. But every year when I caught up with Clinton and I said, what apps are you supporting? He'd list off a list of apps and I said, I've got no idea what those are. And the reality is both of our businesses are constantly curating and adding new solutions, because that's our space. We need to own that, and we need to be constantly finding the best in class apps and maybe getting rid of ones that aren't adding any value. And the reality was that our people who knew us and the Xero account managers were recommending us based on our vertical specialization. not because they knew which apps we actually supported, but because if they knew that there was a retail client, they'd say, okay, we know SMB specializes in retail and the whole list of apps that fall under that vertical, and we'll recommend it to SMB. So we thought simplify it based on vertical specialization. And again, when you look at our stack of apps that we support, it's quite a long and extensive list. So it's a one-to-many approach. Under SMB, you're going to gain access to all of these apps. There's probably 8 or 9 inventory management apps there alone. And, we have all of these apps because they're all great in their own right. We're probably the top, if one of the top resellers of each of those in the country. So we have experience. We feel that each one, has its place. But if you speak to all of them individually, they'll all agree that there's, a certain sweet spot, a certain type of customer that they're all good for. And again, Clinton has said it before, it's understanding not what the apps do, but more importantly, what they don't do. And also, how do the integrations work? Because while they all claim to be integrated to Xero, all of the integrations work slightly differently. And that can be an area that often gets overlooked, not just from a client point of view, but also, from a bookkeeper and accountant point of view, which can make it very, very difficult if you don't thoroughly understand how the integrations work. So we kind of look at it like, if you were to go and walk onto a Ford dealership and ask the Ford dealership guy what kind of car to drive, he would tell you all the benefits of why Ford is the best car to drive. But then you'd go to the next dealership and ask the same question, and it still wouldn't solve the problem as to which car is right for me. So we're sort of taking a different approach where we're agnostic, and our recommendation comes based on experience. And sometimes a recommendation can be no recommendation. If none of the apps work and satisfy, or there are legitimate deal breakers, then we don't have a problem telling the client that it's not a good fit. And having that sort of central point of truth where a customer can sort of bounce ideas and know that the business is not going to make a recommendation unless it's in their best interest, and highlight some of the risks that are involved in going down that path, really make sure that they're doing a bit more due diligence and a lot more research in pursuing a solution that encapsulates the entire scope of what they're going to need, as opposed to just looking at one particular app for one part of their business.
And I'll just jump in there, Jeff. One other thing to highlight there is, since our two businesses have been working together, it's given us the opportunity to share knowledge about the way that we operate and make our businesses more efficient, and leverage each other's things that efficiencies and stuff that we've gained, but also to compare our knowledge on the solutions required for certain verticals. So we've had this ongoing gap for a solution for businesses that have point of sale, inventory and field services. So something like a pool shop or a locksmith or a tiling shop, where they've got a shop front, they've got guys out in the field that are doing work, service work, installation work, that type of thing. Having the one-stop shop, one app that can do all sides of that requirement just doesn't exist. So we've used our knowledge of our specific solutions in our verticals. So TradiePad with our field service, our job management, project management solutions, and SMB with their point of sale and their inventory solutions. And we've finally solved this problem that we've been looking to solve for over 5 years. And it wouldn't have happened. It wouldn't have come about if we hadn't have banged our heads together and gone, well, this is what we need to achieve. Here's the solutions that I have. Here's the solutions that I have. Let's see what we can get together. And we're finally. Well, I shouldn't count my eggs before they hatch.
Well, I think we're gonna talk about that tomorrow, aren't we? So maybe tune in for tomorrow's CloudCast to find out more about specialized workflows across verticals, industries. Okay. Yeah. So this is a testimonial. Everyone, I think, knows Mel, but we're very proud that she uses us as a service, and she very early on recognized the benefits of using a cloud integrator and how we can help support her so that she can focus on what she's really good at. And she recommends us to everyone. So we're very proud of that testimonial.
We gave Mel a nice massage on the standard Xerocon last week. She came and enjoyed a massage from one of our 3-minute angels, which was very nice. And just like Jeff said, we've got our own swag of solutions, our own bag of tricks, you could call it, that we're constantly refining. And it's my role within TradiePad now to stay across all of these new things that are coming through. So I'm constantly catching up with new software partners, talking to them about what they do and how they do it and where they fit into the ecosystem. Because I'm a firm believer of there's not one size fits all. There will always be space for all of these solutions plus more in the future as new things come out, as new functionality and new technology comes out. We've got one of our app partners is about to make a very large announcement at the end of this week about some new features and functionality, that being ServiceMate. Big announcement on Friday about new features and functionality that they're releasing, which I have not seen anything like before. So they're leveraging Apple's new operating system and functionality built into the new operating system to give us some really cool functions.
But we're talking about that tomorrow, aren't we, Clinton?
Yes, we are.
You can't hold back, can you?
I can't. Sharing can't buy. But it's important that we stay on top of all of these things, because it's our role to be that curator and to be the expert for all of these things and keep our clients up to date. So being across these solutions and more is kind of where we sit. There are solutions for field services. There are solutions for construction and project jobs like builders, and we've got the whole range covered. Great little testimonial here from one of our clients. Ed's been with us for a couple of years now. He actually invited me down to a dinner, a lunch last year as a big thank you, where he got all of his partners, all of his trusted advisors within his business. He got them all together for a thank you lunch and said, thank you for helping me build my business and get me to where I am now, where I can take on more jobs and more work and be confident in my business and have control of things. It was a good acknowledgement and really made me realize why we do what we do in helping put all of these pieces together and help change these people's lives, change their lives from a business perspective, but also from a personal perspective. Now, hearing someone say, I've been able to take a holiday for the first time in 5 years and not worry about my business going down the gurgler, that's amazing. You're having a big impact on the way that people run their businesses and run their lives. And I love it.
All right. So defining cloud integrators. Why have I got an echo again? Did you hear an echo?
No, I'm all good.
Yeah. Okay. So
you still got it?
Echo.
Okay, let me just disconnect and
Hello?
That's it. And
that's better.
Is that better?
Yeah, I think that's better. Yep. Okay.
Very,
Thanks.
very, very technical. I unplugged it and plugged it back in.
See, first, that's why you're a plumber. Okay, so I think it's important to define. I think Clinton touched on this a little bit, as to how we go beyond being just recommending apps and what a cloud integrator is, because we spoke to a lot of people at the show and still continue to, like when we talk to people like New Zealand or Singapore or the UK, the feedback we always get is, well, we don't have cloud integrators in our region. So they're completely unaware of what we actually do. And this slide sort of helps depict that. We specialize in, obviously, the verticals that we spoke about, but the services we provide are consultative services, setup and training, and support. The consultation comes by way of a scoping session, as Clinton said, which is a great way for us to have a conversation with the business about all the moving parts in their business. It's kind of our opportunity to throw all the cards on the table and say, what's working? What are you currently using? What are you looking to fix, or what are you looking to improve? What are the things that where do you want to be today, and where do you want to be in, let's say 3 years, and understand exactly how they're using it. I think that's one thing that we don't ever assume, is that because they have certain pieces of software, that they're actually using it correctly. And so when we ask that question, tell us how you're using it, that's usually where we can highlight where the main efficiencies can be gained, and then we can provide a quotation on what it would cost to set things up, provide them training across all the different types of employees that they have in the business, and then provide ongoing support that make sure that they can work through that learning process as they get to know a new piece of software. Another piece of support that we provide is integration support. SMB have 2 Xero certified consultants that one is an ex-bookkeeper, one is an ex-practice manager. Joy and Sandra are lovely, and they provide an amazing level of support to bookkeepers and accountants when it comes to integrations. And that's something that's very, very beneficial, because oftentimes problems can not just occur with the way that things are mapped. Maybe you push the button and information gets pushed across, and you need actually help reconciling and entering in journal entries to fix things up. And Xero is not going to help you do that. And the apps also have very limited ability to help you with that process, because they'll walk to the fence, but they won't cross the fence. So if you've sort of been in that scenario where you need a little bit more hands-on support with the integrations and speak to people that actually understand what you're trying to achieve and how you do your job, that's another level of support that can help support you. And lastly, our specialization is with cloud products. iOS, as Clinton said, we specialize in iOS hardware, how to deploy it in bulk, in mass, and how to support it remotely. We have POS hardware. We do cloud networking, so that's very important when it comes to hospitality, is making sure that the network is robust. And obviously with the integration, we really thoroughly understand integration and how it needs to be set up and used.
So we've been talking about the partnership, the Cloud Integration Partners partner program. So why would you partner? What's the benefits? And ultimately, it comes down to being able to provide that more comprehensive offering to the clients. So we find that partnering with a cloud integrator means that you can talk to your clients about the solutions that are available for them, and be that instigator. You're the person that is planting that initial seed and saying, look, there's other solutions that are out there that work in with the accounting software that you're using. You plant that seed, you expand on the services that you provide, and think of TradiePad as part of your team. We're just TradiePad or SMB Consultants. Think of Cloud Integration Partners as part of your team. So we're there to extend on the services that you provide, and that in turn is expanding that offering to the clients without having to do any extra work. All it takes is a quick discussion with us about some basic information about the client's business and what they're looking to achieve, and we take care of the rest. But of course, we'll always incorporate the discussions with you guys if you have the time and you're interested in being involved in the sessions and the meetings that we run. We're all more than happy to make it a group meeting, and the more the merrier. Once we've done that, the client's then receiving specific attention from their partners that focus on their specific skills, I guess. So the client's getting specialized attention from 2 different parties working as one. So it appears that it's one team. But they get they feel as though they're being taken care of very specifically by their great partners. Number 3 means that you can concentrate on what you know and focus on it, and make sure you do it 100% right. Because I found out early on with TradiePad, I was doing a bit of everything while still plumbing. So I was part-time plumber, part-time computer nerd, doing sales, doing setup and training, doing support, doing everything, and you spread yourself too thin. And the only thing that happens there is you get frazzled. Your customers suffer because they're not getting attention that they need and that they deserve. So working together as in a partnership means that we can focus on what we do and absolutely nail it. Under promise and over deliver is a big thing. So we certainly don't.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, sorry, go Jeff.
Sorry, I think I see a lot of that where you feel compelled because you have a relationship with this client to help them out, and so you're in the back of your mind you have the best intentions, but you can't be the jack of all trades and master of none, as we say. And I think people will respect your opinion if you are upfront with them and say, that's not my speciality. This is what I really do. I do it really well, but I want to hand you over to these guys. This is what they do, and together we work really closely to come up with a solution that's going to help your business. And yeah, I think just understanding that there is that third option, and you may decide to do a bit of both. There may be really small use cases where you still research and recommend. There may be some apps that you have grown to love and use internally, let's say Receipt Bank, that you use internally and you feel comfortable recommending that. But then there are other ones where you just haven't had the chance to gain the experience yet, but you know that there's good choices out there, and there's absolutely something that might be right for your client, but you just don't have the knowledge or the time to do the research yourself. That would be the good situation to partner with us.
Absolutely. And it does cut both ways as well. We don't get involved in bookkeeping and accounting. It's why we have built our network of trusted bookkeepers and accountants around the country, because we're asked about it all the time, and we talk about it all the time. Especially with tradies, it's a bit of a default. You start your tradie business, and then your missus does the books for you. And a lot of times, the missus doesn't necessarily enjoy doing the books. So we talk about that. And I had an interview yesterday with a partner of ours that was doing a blog, and I explained that to her that we promote the fact that it's a key benefit or a key thing within the business to have a good bookkeeper to do the financial work properly and to do something meaningful with the financial data that's coming through. I said, and it also helps relationships, because when the wife's involved in the business and isn't enjoying doing it, it can cause rifts within the relationship. She said, "Oh, so you're saving marriages as well?" I said, "Absolutely." We've done that. We've had that comment a number of times from our clients that have said, "Oh my God, you've saved my marriage by introducing me to a bookkeeper, putting these tools in place. My relationship's never been stronger because..."
Marriage counselor. I love it.
Exactly. Yeah. And number 4, big one, let's work together. There's nothing better than working as a team and solving problems together. We get a buzz out of it. I know our partners get a buzz out of it. Like I mentioned before, our bookkeeping partner that came up after the panel discussion on Tuesday. It's great. It's really rewarding to be able to work together and change people's lives the way that we do.
Okay, so how do you engage with us? The first thing is explore opportunities with your clients. Maybe now you've got a little bit more confidence that you can engage in a conversation. You should absolutely go into Xero HQ and look under the Explorer tab as a starting point. But you shouldn't feel as, apprehensive, knowing that you can sort of find a client that might benefit from an add-on, but not be responsible for delivering the full end-to-end solution. If you haven't already, register to become a partner at CloudIntegration.Partners. That's the first step. Go to the website and fill out the register page. Once you have explored options, and if there's a particular client that you have in mind, you can also go to register a lead off the website. So registering a lead means that you're going to pass off information about the client. Now, this is a really important step so that we know that client came by way of you. And it puts it directly into our CRM system. And by using the lead form, it also helps to decide which vertical that they're in and some of the questions that you should be asking the client to make sure that they're a good fit. And it's far better than sending us an email, because an email we have to go through and we have to sort of troll through the information that you've written, whereas the form actually goes into a system that we've created that will help us to determine is it SMB or TradiePad that will take the first lead discussion in the conversation. After that, after you've submitted a lead, you can book a 15-minute call to discuss the client. So we will never contact your client without contacting you first. That's something we're very adamant about, because we need to call you to determine 2 things. One, make sure that there's no high-level deal breakers that is completely out of scope, so we're not wasting the client's time in sitting down with them to have a discussion. And secondly, what is it that you want to get out of this? Is it a new client that you're trying to sign up to Xero? Is it an existing client and you know what their problems are and you're looking to fix? and what services do you want to provide to them. So we will never provide services that compete or overlap with what you do. We're always here to fill in the gaps and know how to present to the client before we actually contact them. Lastly, we would take the next step, which is to book a scoping session. A scoping session is a paid consultation that we have together with the client. We encourage you, if you are able to join in and participate in the conversation. TradiePad charges $330 for an hour and a half scoping session.
Yep.
We charge $220 per hour because there are some instances where only an hour is warranted or required in our situation. The rate is the same. It really just depends on the complexity of the business and how in-depth a client wants to take that scoping session. But it is a key component of how we engage and interact with the client. After the scoping session, we'll provide an estimate to the client, and if the client decides to proceed with the estimate, it gets deducted as a credit towards their final invoice. Okay, so we've got 1 minute left to talk about tomorrow. Yes.
Can't give away all the secrets though, Jeff.
No, we can't. But tomorrow we have another CloudCast, and this CloudCast is going to have a completely different format. We wanted to take the format, and this one we had a few more slides because there was a lot more content we wanted to make sure we got across. But tomorrow is going to be really more conversational between Clinton and I. We're going to really delve a little bit more deep into how to actually leverage us, how to partner, how do you, the app spotlight, some of the announcements that Service Mate is going to talk about, some of the differences between some of the inventory app comparisons. So I encourage you to sign up for tomorrow's CloudCast as well, because it's going to be a lot more ad hoc, a lot more conversational, a lot more I guess interactive with you as an audience, and it's something that we're going to reach out to see what type of content would you like to get in the upcoming CloudCast as well. Anything you want to add to that, Clinton?
No, I think that's about it, Jeff. You'll see in the chat box, everybody, there's a link there that'll take you to the page to register for tomorrow's existing partners CloudCast. It's something that we're going to build on. We're in an ever-changing environment with the solutions that we're working with. So we're really keen to make this a regular occurrence and really help get the word out there about cloud integration and how we're, I guess, at the forefront of what's being done and how we can work together as a team. We're keen to get some other cloud integrators involved as well as we go along. So, yeah, stay in touch with us. Attend tomorrow's CloudCast, and we'll keep you updated with all the future CloudCasts that we'll have as well. It's going to become a regular occurrence and hopefully help put a bit of a spotlight on what we do.
And lastly, where can people tune in? What time are we going to do the draw for the $1,500 travel voucher? How can they tune in to see that?
That will be, we'll do a Facebook Live post, I believe. I say that with a little bit of hesitation. So we're not 100% certain yet. But we'll
do Facebook Live, but when is that, Thursday?
Thursday, yeah. We'll run it on Thursday.
Okay.
We'll have to confirm the time, Jeff. But I think we're looking around about the same time, around 12:30.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, we thank everyone for taking time out of their day to join us. We hope you learned a little bit about what we do, and hope to see you again tomorrow so we can dive a lot deeper into some of the technical parts of what we do.
Absolutely. And just one last thing, Louise has asked a question. Do we record the webinars to watch later? Yes, 100%. We have recorded today's webinar, and we will be uploading it and sharing the link with everybody so that you can take it home to the family and put it on the big screen and have some popcorn and watch it. Why are you laughing, Jeff? Awesome.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Adam. Thanks for your help, mate.
No problem at all. Glad to be here.
Yeah. Any other questions that came through? No, we're all good.
Great. Thanks.
Fantastic. Thanks,
and
everybody.
good luck to everyone.